Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 118th edition of Fire Potato. Fire Potato is a monthly technology session hosted by FAYA in association with nasscom. This session aims to provide a platform for tech enthusiasts to come together, analyze various emerging trends in tech industry. So this endeavor aims to create tech communities that will enable peer group learning. Before the session, I welcome Michelle for the Tech Bite session.
So, good evening, everyone. We have a lot of things going in the AI space, especially the video and image generation. So, without any ado, let's get started. First, we have, Leonard. Have you ever heard of Leonard.ai, which is like a basically an image generation platform, which just got acquired by Canva right now. I actually do use this platform a lot, especially when I'm creating logos and stuff. Yeah. So now Canva just acquired Leonardo.ai. Next, we have Grok 2. So basically, uh, basically this was just released. Like I heard about this news like 4 hours ago. Uh, so I just know about this 4 hours ago. Basically, there was a LLM called sus column hyphen r, which was released, and this was actually the Grok's earlier version, but it was not announced before. Now this is the benchmark of it. Now basically the Grok early version of Grok is actually on par with GPT-4o, and also it's cheaper. So this is actually retweeted by Elon Musk himself. Next we have is cosine genie. We covered Devin over here, Devika over here. Now this is the third one called cosine genie, and yeah. So what they are actually saying is that it's far more better than the Devin, and it could complete 80% of what a software engineer could do. So this is the founder of cosine genie, and yeah. So how they trained is actually instead of going with the traditional way of prompting LLM, it actually it was trained with help of software developers, and it was trained how actually a software developer would solve a problem. So this is actually the best auto like the one it's the best out there compared to Devin and Deviga, and they are just released recently right now. Uh, Next is OpenAI voice. So basically, if the audio is playable, this is a video where it can count 1 to 50 at fast. And I actually got the opportunity to test the OpenAI voice right now, and it speaks Malayalam and also Hindi. And I literally asked it to tell the Shah Rukh Khan Dawn dialogue. So if you have watched Shah Rukh Khan dialogue, it literally said the Dawn dialogue over here with ChatGPT 4. I mean voice. It's pretty good, but it's also highly censored one. Basically, I just asked, last time GPT-4 was, hey, do you like jalebi or not? And it said, oh, I like jalebi. Then in between that, oh, due to this certain guidelines, I cannot say that. It's a highly censored one, but it works pretty well too. Next, we have, custom AI chatbots. Basically, Meta just released the Llama 3.1 and also released a new feature where you can actually chat with, predefined uh, agents or avatars or users. Basically, this is a girl who like horror stories over here, so you can actually chat with them. Now, this is a custom robot. Basically, this was something going planned planned like a few months ago, but never implemented it. But let's say it looks like Zuck has implemented it. Uh, Next, we have is Clink, which is a AI video model generation. So just this is a demo of it. This is made completely using AI. Few months ago, this was not possible. Now next we have Flux. This is a really cool video which I would like to show you because I couldn't distinguish what it was actually a generated video or it's a real one. Yeah, I cannot say if it's a real or fake. This is made using Flux and Runway Gen 3, the whole video. For me, this looks like a stored videography. Yeah, that's it for this month's Tech Bites. Thank you.
Thank you, Mishal. Without further delay, let's enter to our main session. Our speaker for the day is Mr. Jyothis Indirabhai. Jyothis Indirabhai is a co-founder and CEO of Netrasemi, which is a Trivandrum-based semiconductor startup developing chips for Edge AI market. With over 25 years experience in microchip design, he worked as a design manager and micro architect at Intel Corporation and also worked for Hitachi. He's an expert in his domain with 8 US patent grants and 7 pending applications in the domains of artificial intelligence and wireless technologies. With that, I welcome Jyothis Indirabhai to the floor.
Hello, testing. Okay. Hello. Okay. So with that, let me get into the session. Thank you for a very good introduction about myself here. And so today's topic is about Edge AI. So again, apologies on the slide side. I had to hurry and make it fast. So because of that, you may not find my slides extremely interesting. But I'll try to explain as much as possible so that you can ask me questions, or I will try to explain areas where you will find much more interesting points. So to start with, today's topic is Edge AI, but I will not limit that to Edge AI itself. I will also cover a bit of semiconductors and importance of semiconductors in those sectors, because those are the interesting topics for me. Probably as a semiconductor engineer, you will also look forward to that kind of information. So I'll try to cover as much as possible on Edge AI space, as well as the importance of semiconductors related to Edge AI. So I saw your tech bites initially. Uh, Nowadays, almost everyone is talking about generative AI, the Chat GPT, Gemini. So I mean, at some point of time, I am also thinking like AI is all about generative AI, nothing else, right? So people get a feel that it is all about generative AI and it happens in cloud. That is true for majority of the like one segment of AI, where you are talking about user experience, entertainment, media. If you are talking about those kind of aspects, yes, generative AI is extremely important. But as a industrial person, I feel like there are a lot more to AI rather than generative AI. Okay, one segment of that is IoT, right? So that where I want to start. So IoT is a segment of industry, or a industrial segment, which talks about connected things, right? Of course, generative AI is also, many folks use it as a you connect your laptop to a cloud and get your AI processing done there. So that is one way of looking at it, right? As a personal computer use, or even as a technologist, or even banking, or those kind of sectors. Of course, cloud-based interaction and the use of AI is extremely important. But IoT is a different segment where the connected things, like connected sensors, the, for example, power meter or a temperature sensor or air conditioner, washing machines, power grids, then for example, industrial equipments, like small pieces all around the world, like billions of them, right? Billions of devices all around the world, and collecting data from them and using it for an industrial use or analyze them and create a business use case is extremely important, right? It is as important as the generative AI and other type of activities. So that is where the IoT plays a big role, right? IoT, unlike the previous world where things were not connected, right? It was all discrete things without any connections between them. That was what the industry was like 10 years back, right? And from that, it migrated to connected things, using internet as a medium for gathering information from all these devices and create intelligence at the cloud. That is how it started, right? So IoT started by connecting devices, or mainly the devices used to be sensors. Connect these sensors, bring data to the sender, which is the cloud, and ensure that that data is being used for a business purpose, right? That is all about IoT. So IoT, when it started, I read articles from, say, McKinsey and all those guys. So I saw that it's a great concept, and it is like multi-trillion-dollar disruption of industry, right? So if you ask me if anybody wants to start a business like 10 years back, all of them wants to start a business in IoT, just like what you're seeing in generative AI, right? So 10 years back, there was no AI. So everyone wants to start a startup or some kind of product so that you can contribute to the IoT world, Internet of Things, right? So that is how the industry, if you ask me like of 10 years back, what are the most disruptive technologies to be considered? One of them was IoT, the other one was AI, right? Other one was AI 10 years back. So when I saw that McKinsey report, I saw cloud, IoT, and genomic research, and then AI. These are the ideas. AI was considered as a concept that time, right? But then suddenly what I'm seeing is both started parallelly increasing important. IoT became extremely important for the industry, and AI became extremely important for people wants analytics like banking and like predictions and things like that. So AI and IoT started independently and it grew independently, right? It was like a parallel growth. But that is when this picture is extremely important. This picture will give you an understanding of how these things are turning up into different into an edge AI, right? So when IoT and AI started, that was independent and they were parallel domains. And then, like when the AI picked up in late 2006, say 2018, 19 time, that is when AI really started playing a big role, right? And that time, IoT, it was a multi-trillion dollar business or multi-trillion dollar market, and suddenly all the discrete processing, as I mentioned earlier, IoT was gathering information from all these sensors and things and do some analysis on them, and that analysis need not be on AI, right? It is we call it as run some algorithms on them, run some DSP on them, figure out from the data, use it for some defect detection or things like that. That's how it used to be. But when AI became prominent, AI became almost a de facto standard for analyzing data. Then IoT started become AIoT, becomes artificial Internet of Things. So as per the recent data, so initially I was reading McKinsey report. That time he was predicting an IoT growth and then there is an AI growth, right? AI will become this big market. IoT will become multi-trillion-dollar market. But his revised reports, or even the report from many other sources later, is showing that AIoT covers more than 85% of the IoT market, right? So AI is dominating the IoT market, and that is what the trend is, right? So because naturally, if in the cloud, so again, it becomes a cloud solution. IoT became AIoT, but the processing happens in cloud because uh, the devices are still like no brain devices. They are just data gatherers. They just send data to the cloud. The cloud is the big brain, right? Cloud is where the data processing happens, and it used to be okay, considering that it is a great leap, right? Getting it done in AI, and only cloud has the AI capacity, so that processing happens there. People are happy with that. So we thought that okay, it is settled, right? So probably then what happened next is we see that among the AIoT, people did not become extremely happy, right? AIoT means you have to send the data to the cloud. What is the cost? All these billions of devices or trillions of devices need to use extreme bandwidth to bring the data to the cloud, right? Think about it as a video. The data is a video. The sensor is a CMOS sensor, video sensor, and you have to send the data to the cloud. And what kind of volume of data is that, right? Of course, if it is a thermal sensor or a pressure sensor or a speed gauge, yeah, that is fine, right? It's a small data. You can send it a kilobytes of data. You can send it to cloud. But if it is a video, a 4K video you want to bring to cloud and analyze, think about it, right? So, and then in the you have to do compression, you have to do decompression in the cloud. So finally, it is a big pain, right? That is one part of it. Now think about a second scenario. Uh, the data bandwidth is critical. How about privacy and security? You are sending your data, your power grid data to a server in the in say US, right? How much of that is acceptable to the governments, right? So it became a privacy and security issue, and then comes real-time response. You want to do an action in less than 30 milliseconds, right? Sometimes if a cleaning robot should not hit a human being, it needs to gather information and process the data in less than 1 second. What if it takes 10 seconds because the cloud is slow, right? So the real-time response become extremely critical. Then comes cost, quality, right? You compress a video, send to the cloud. Because of compression, your quality is lost. Do you have the number plate in that video? Probably not, right? So this way, it became almost essential for you to do preliminary processing or a pre-processing, pre-AI processing on the edge itself. So now I'm using that, maybe you have seen, the term I'm using is edge. Now, IoT guys, AIoT guys realize that we need a separation. We call this as an edge, right? Edge is a term used for on-premise computing, right? So now they have differentiated. Okay, now I understand you have a problem. So it was a heavy fight before, right? Everyone says, hey, cloud is good enough. Forget about everything. The 6G will come, 7G will come, 10G, networks will come, and connectivity is never a problem, right? You will get data processing in less than, say, milliseconds. But it never happened. Even it's not even going to 5G. Probably India it went to 5G, but no other nation went to 5G, right? So the data is always a problem. It will continue to be a problem, right? The resolution of videos will continue to increase. Resolutions of images will continue to increase. The millimeter radars will increase the size. So everywhere data, initially we thought that when I say real time, uh, So the processing has, so they have created a segment, right? They have created a segment. There are two aspects of an AI processing. First part is real-time sensitive or data sensitive or privacy sensitive. So that part of the processing will happen in the edge. Then the 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 remaining part of the analysis happens in the cloud, right? That was the answer they found, and that is called distributed IoT processing, right? So it is a hybrid model. Some part works in edge and some part works in. So that is now the if you look at the situation now, that is considered as a decent model, right? A on-premise computing. Then multiple variants of that came up. People want AI capacity on the wearable device. On your watch, you want to have reasonably good AI processing. Google Lens needs to have reasonably good AI processing there. Then comes a lot of devices. A camera's duty in a long, in the history is just to gather data and make it available for network if there is a network, right? But now the things are changing. The cameras become smart cameras, and for that you need to have AI on that camera, right? AI can be, the camera can be made smart camera just by sending data to the cloud. That is one solution. But as I mentioned earlier, it may not be the best solution, right? So they accepted that. The way it is moving is on device. Along with the on premise, on device is also extremely becoming popular, right? And on device means the sensor itself is becoming intelligent, right? Where significant amount of AI processing happens on device, and of course some part of the processing will still happen in cloud. For example, training may happen in the cloud, but detection happens in the device. Do you understand what I think most of you understand training, detection and all, right? Anything doesn't know, like anyone doesn't know the like these terms? I mean, I can explain. I mean, it's not a big deal. Everyone understand it? So AI, the basic concept is it is a data set based learned decision making, right? So there are two parts of an AI technology. One is a training part where you train the data, you collect data set and use AI to, the model to get trained, and later you can use that model in a system and use it for finding out similar similar what is that, inferences. So use that model to do inferences based on what it has learned, right? This is a very typical workflow in a AI processing. So uh, back to the same context, the AI processing or the inference happens in majority of the premises and devices, and then the learning and the maturity of the AI happens in the cloud, right? That is, or cloud or servers. So that is the kind of boundary people are like drawing nowadays, right? So that's the norm. So that's what I showed here as Edge AI, right? Where the on-premise or on-device AI is considered as Edge AI. So I'm just coming to a definition now, right? Now here, is AI, Edge AI applies only to something connected to servers and cloud? No. In many cases, a watch, you can have an AI wearable which does not have any like internet connectivity, right? It doesn't need to be an IoT, it can be its own, right? So there are systems, for example, a cleaning robot doesn't need to be connected to internet for functioning, right? Or a drone, it can go around area and navigate itself and figure out whether any suspicious activities. So these are the new trends. So I mean, these kind of devices already exist, and you continue to see similar kind of developments going forward. Robots, defense robots, and lot of new devices are coming today, Many we are seeing, many are not, we are not able to see them because they are in the labs. So the industry is exploding with new and new autonomous devices which are not even connected to a network, and they can operate itself with the help of images, with the help of video it gathers, with the help of multiple sensors it hosts. So autonomous things are, so that is the new term, that is what I want to introduce, a new term called AUT, which is autonomous things, right? It like just like IoT, Internet of Things, there are new devices being like developed with the autonomous navigation capabilities, autonomous decision making capabilities. Those are called autonomous things, right? So this is the overall multiple segments of IoT, AIoT, and Edge AI, which I just want to explain so that we understand the terms, right, going forward. Right? Any questions here? Probably it's a long discussion. If you have any questions, we'll, yeah.
Yeah, Mike. Sir, regarding IoT, I would like to ask you on medical IoT, like even though a lot of vaccines are used timely, a lot of patients die because there is no proper monitoring of temperature conditions where it is kept. In our government hospital, it is deserted without monitoring. So IoT, how IoT can contribute to monitoring real time the temperature conditions of the vaccine and apply it?
Correct. So it's a, I mean, it's a very common use case in IoT world. So medical IoT is one very prominent domain where, for example, heart monitoring, temperature monitoring, then the blood pressure monitoring. So there are sensors. It's all about sensors, right? Previously, it used to be just sending this data to the cloud, right? Somehow using a mobile phone or something like that. Send it through Bluetooth, get it to the mobile phone, just connect it to, and then there is a central agency who will monitor all these things. So that used to be the scenario. But now this is very much possible, and there are, even in Kerala, I believe there are companies who are building medical IoT devices, right? This is a great help for like the companies who do provide healthcare, right?
Sir, regarding IoT,
Ah,
autonomous
ah,
tracking,
ah.
what about cardio autonomous tracking devices, heart patients,
I mean,
or
no,
wearables?
see, I'm just telling you that it is not wearable devices is a extremely good health segment, right? Multiple segments are there, even for I know a device called, there is a heart condition which will actually trigger some kind of like frequent heart I mean very aggressive heart activity. I don't remember the name for that, but
Arrhythmia,
uh, yeah,
tachycardia.
yeah, there is something like I mean there are several patients out there, I mean even among us, who get that kind of symptoms. So there are IoT devices who track this kind of patients and report it immediately if that medical condition happens. Even like fall detection is an IoT scenario, right? Fall detection and ensuring that there is a indication given to the patient, that is also an extremely important. So in medical segment, IoT plays a significant role because previously it used to be some measure something, and there is no the IoT brings accuracy, right? Because it can keep on measuring it, train it, and so AIoT make it much more accurate than the previous way. Previously, if it exceeds a threshold, then becomes a violation, and when it reports it unnecessarily, people get
Panic.
they doubt the device and they don't use the device anymore. But nowadays, the frequent training happens, update happens, so that that device can be corrected very fast based on the data you gather in the IoT, right? So this kind of devices and application, and those are what the product makers are working on. So what we just now talked is these are the AIoT applications, and there are like thousands of companies working on that. But how many of them are being actually there in the market? Market is driven by FDI. I mean, you know, the medical bodies which kind of manage that. Right? Even if you have a solution, it doesn't go to the the real patient, because it needs approval and like other things, right? So medical is definitely one area. And coming back to the Edge AI in this particular scenario, even in a medical device, Edge AI can make a decision there itself. It doesn't need a like approval from, I mean, if you mature that product to that standard, because Edge AI and autonomous things, when we are talking about autonomous things, accuracy is very important. If you can assure accuracy, and if you can assure like approval from the right agencies, these are extremely useful stuff, right? But those approvals and accuracy, this dictates the real practical application of it, right?
So
So
I want one information, because you work in Intel. I want to know the current development in Intel chip having memory to store that IP address and MAC address. Because the
yeah.
problem we face is that IoT in medical device development, the cyber security is the biggest problem. Suppose IoT based ventilator is working, that is, anybody can hack and kill the patient. So the MAC address and IP address, that is essential to be stored in that processor level.
Yeah, so it is a well-known problem. No, not well-known problem. I mean, IP address and MAC storage in a device,
Yes.
right, is definitely doable, and many systems in the world use that. For example, even IP cameras have IP address embedded there, right? So, and the choice is whether you want to make it a soft MAC address or hard MAC address, right? That is the designers have to make. And there are several chip companies who provide chips which has a hard MAC address, right? So it is just a choice of the designer. And in Intel chips, probably they are not doing it because they want the flexibility to modify the IP address, right? So it is a feature, not the limitation, right?
But if there is any flexibility, the cyber security will go.
I understand that, but of course, the flexibility is the one creating security issue, right? So there's a choice whether it is flexibility or the security, right? So, I mean, this kind of hard choices industry make, and for certain devices, they ensure that such kind of security lapses does not occur. For the general devices, they allow that flexibility, right? I mean, because tomorrow another designer here somewhere, the kid will ask for, hey, why in the Intel chip I am not able to change the MAC address?
No,
So,
on the medical side, the thing is cyber security.
no,
is
that is why accreditation. I mean, that is why this approval, a medical approval, mandates a lot of things.
Yes.
So a device to be used as a medical device, there are tons of approvals required, and one of them is security, privacy, and the EMI. So any device cannot go into a medical device, right? So any chip cannot go to a medical device. So even as a company, we are also staying away from medical many times because not because medical is difficult, the approval is difficult in medical. So
Thank you.
yeah.
So yeah.
So
It's more
good. I am getting a lot of questions in the first slide.
So regarding Edge AI, what is the only application I could think of, since I'm working in LLMs specifically, it's more of a compression thing. That's the most use case right now, right? Because large high quality data compressed to embeddings or whatever it is. And then again, I don't think on device capability is yet to a point where you could do things totally off cloud. Because I've been looking into getting a Google Coral chip. Those have TPUs, right? So do you think, like, how far do you think is things along right now? Because you are in the industry, right?
Yeah. So Coral probably came in 2021 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, with the two tops performance. No, yeah, they came with two tops performance, right? But now the Edge is going much far, right? Edge, the new devices are going with the 32 tops. So for the people who doesn't understand what I'm talking about, tops is a measure of AI performance, right? AI, if you look at, so to run a model, AI model, so model is the So I will make it simple. So all this LLM or like including generative AI, right? Generative AI primarily using transformers and like certain kind of models which are useful for training and doing the job of generative AI. Similar way, large language models, just now he mentioned about, they are used for speech recognition and also like voice recognition, those kind of activities. So uh, these models are, the models and accuracies are extremely important. And the question what he is asking is why the large language models are not popular in the edge scenarios. It is actually popular. Even many hybrid models are there. It doesn't need to have the entire thing on the edge. There are ways in which you can actually have a, again coming back to the distributed computing, where certain things can happen in the cloud and certain things can happen in the edge. So that model is well work very well on the large language models also, like LLMs also. Now back to the question. Even Coral is not a not a benchmark today. Coral is a very is a device of almost 2 years, no, almost 3 years, 4 years back. A lot of things happened in between, and now new chips are coming with much more capabilities.
What is the benchmark right now? Since you said there's a
Even
benchmark.
to see, that is what I am coming back, right? So there is nothing like a benchmark. So which industry and which application you are targeting, right? That is the question. If I have a mobile phone, right? What is the performance needed for a mobile phone? Is there a benchmark? If I have my father wants a phone which he can only make a call, right? And that is his benchmark. For a 2000 rupees phone, that is an excellent phone, right? But you want to me, I use a medium phone, right? For me the benchmark is 30,000. What I can get the best, right? But many of my friends, for them 1.5 lakh is the benchmark. So the pricing, the application, the segment. I think segmentation is very important, right? For a simple for example, a simple power sensor based or the IoT use case he just mentioned, right? In that application, which uses the heartbeat sensors and all those things and make a decision, independent decision using AI, the benchmark could be around 100 giga operations. 100 giga operations. So this is the measure. Giga operation means, okay, this many giga operations happens in 1 second, right? That is the model. So that kind of application, I would maybe I'll consider around 100 giga operations per second is my benchmark, right? There are several chips available today able to achieve that benchmark, several of them, and that is a relatively easier problem to address. There the problem is accuracy and other aspects, right? The second part is if you are talking about, for example, an LLM model or large language model or a video processing. Video is the toughest AI problem, right? Because it involves megapixels of data. In a megapixels of data, you have to run multiple windows for looking for whether it's a person or a number plate, right? So if you want to do that. So video and video analytics is considered as one of the most challenging AI problems. Right? If you have to do that on a device, on a chip, that chip need to achieve significant tera operations per second, right? And there, that is where the tera operation range comes, right? So again there, what kind of image, what is the frame per second, right? How many frames per second you are processing. So all these things matters. If it is just one image and it needs to, you need to make a decision in 2 hours, then it is perfect. Even giga operations are good enough, right? But if you want to, before the drone go and hit a wall, within half a second, you have to make a decision that it is a wall and there is this thing. That means it needs to make a decision in 500 milliseconds, right? To make an action, you need another few seconds, like a few things. So maybe your time is only 100 milliseconds, right? Then the tera operations make sense. right? Probably in that kind of application, we are talking about a tera operation of 10 tera operations per second. I mean, just I'm throwing a number, right? Depending upon what kind of camera, how many sensors that chip need to process. It may not be just a camera itself. There may be, it has to also do radar. Sometimes it is lidar, radar, and there are multiple sensors attached to a drone, especially autonomous drone, right? There, that decision making, maybe we are talking about a 32 tops problem, right? So fortunately today, there are 32 tops chips available, right? And for example, it's my competitor, so I'm just quoting it. If you have money, go and buy. It is very expensive. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I'm not quoting it. Okay, yeah. So, no, it is. And everyone knows Jetson Orin. Jetson Nano Orin is a good like a platform for uh, like this kind of processing, which starts with the range of 20 tops, goes to 40 tops range. So it's a good processor, and I mean, whoever can afford it can buy it and use it.
One small question before I
Yeah,
just.
yeah. But again, LLMs can, I believe it can run
I've
there.
been doing
Again,
speculatively
the
coding.
hybrid processing is the way. So any application, even if it is big or small, even the other problems, certain things can happen. The real response things can happen on the edge. Rest of the things you can offload.
Yeah.
There are several ways when you can. That is why the product making is important, right? In fact, that is one of the like a slide I have. It is all about product making. Don't think that all the designs in the world are working on the chip, depending on chip alone, right? Chip is just one enabler, right? I mean, I work with a couple of Japanese companies for like some services I do. So there I feel the way they think about the product. If I mean, many of my US customers, I mean, I shouldn't be telling that, but they're extremely good. But certain countries where product design is extremely important and where they come up with very optimized product designs, right? So when it comes to product design, that is, I mean, I have a separate slide for you, but I think we are talking here, so it's okay, I think. Product making is all about optimization, volume, cost, a lot of quality, and lot of factors, right? It is not, if it is a demo, you can use any platform and do whatever you want, right? But when it comes to product and you want to sell in volume and you want to create a market leadership and you want to give that to, for example, Teslas or Toyotas of the world, okay, they will ask, is that the best like optimized product, right? And if we fail in meeting the margin and the price they set and the quality they put, it is not all about the chip alone, the overall cost, overall quality, overall miniaturization, overall temperature, the size. I mean, product engineer need to squeeze everything so that that product is competitive in the market. Demo is different from product, right? That is one of the word I use, right? Demo, you don't need to worry about anything. You are just saying that, hey, I can do it, right? If you in a product, you need to optimize it to the last what is that? Uh, you have to optimize to the whatever extent it is possible. Because I remember for the Japanese company which I worked for, I mean, I also learned it through that experience. They asked me to develop a product, right? Something for them for one of the automotive projects. So I created. So they asked me, what is the time you need? I said, this is what is the problem you gave me is very simple. I can develop something in 6 months and show it to you. Okay, they said that's good. Huh?
The thing is that autonomous AI,
Yeah.
they use that streaming that AI in streaming
Ah,
with red panda.
ah.
That that becomes a failure in Israel.
Yay! I mean, you should not record this video.
No, yeah, no.
Okay. So whatever credits you can give to AI, the reality is AI is still in the development.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, take it always with a pinch of salt, right? So AI models are getting matured, right? Everything is getting matured. That is it's a extremely disruptive market, and AI is going to be used in almost any area you can think of, right? And the models are not yet there. And we are all excited with the generative AI and going after them. I'm telling you, there are at least 1 billion products need to be designed, right? Because the scope of AI in all those products are extremely important. All the devices you can think about, take any device in this market, all needs an AI enhancement, right? We are all worried about generative AI and showing some videos and images, right? That is actually going to change, right? The real money is in these devices, right? All these devices need a facelift, and unfortunately, India is not working on any of them.
That's why that AI also needs
Yeah, I
standardization.
mean that is one more slide. I mean, probably I should go to
It
the
may
next
end
slide.
of the world.
So okay. So I think we talked about it. So I think we can go. So this is something I have already talked. Distributed. This also we covered. I mean, I wanted to talk. I think this also covered. So, but let's come to this, right? I think this is important. So here I am telling you, probably I'm going to talk about a missed opportunity, right? When the IoT market came up, so we missed a lot of buses, right? Only bus India did not miss is a service market, right? Let us accept that, right? Only market India did not miss is the service industry. Right?
Infosys, TCS, Cognizant.
Right? And we are working for, okay, this is let's accept it, right? Let's don't have any kind of heartbreak here, right? India is always a great country with a lot of great brains, okay? But all we have done is servicing a product maker outside the country. I mean, there is no harm in there is no harm in it. Do it, and at least that earned us a lot of foreign currencies, and we have a great industry here, right? And that allowed us, our engineers, to go to Qualcomms and Intels of the world and contribute to their chips, to their products, and to their systems. And of course, those they are selling it back to India. That's a different story, right? But when I was in Intel, when I go to a room, I mean, in fact, I said the same thing to Hari Umar sir also. So I go to a meeting. We have like cross geo meetings, multiple Israel, US, and India. We had a technical discussion meetings. 40% of the engineers in almost every meeting is an Indian, right? And I heard similar stories from Microsoft also. I heard more numbers there rather than Intel, right? So look at this way. I'm talking about a chip company. I'm discussing a chip, one of the premium chips that time, which is graphics processor. I'm talking about that meeting, right? If in that meeting, in the chip design meeting, 40% are Indians. Just think about it. And India doesn't have a single chip, right? Even today, right? We don't have a single chip. Of course, you'll be seeing something, but they are all jokes. Believe me. So we don't have, okay, let us accept this. We start from ground zero. Let us be very honest about it. Okay. We are a service society. And I mean, the unfortunate part is we want to continue in that state. Because once, I mean, this was a scenario for China. Look at China like 20 years back. Who are they? They were a manufacturing place. They just take one component from one from the tray, put it in the board, put the board right to the next tray, right? That is all China did, right? They were doing manufacturing. Apple will send some order. These people will put the resistor, put it there. Right? This is what China was doing. In fact, that is what even Korea was doing. Right? And that was what Japan was doing 60 years back. Okay. Now think about it. Right? Yesterday I heard an announcement. Probably you will also see that. China is producing an optical chip, AI chip, optical AI chip. Right? I don't know how many of you have heard that, which has huge amount of difference compared to the NVIDIA chip. Okay. The best power efficiency. Okay. Again, go a bit slow. I mean, I know where they are coming from, right? It is not a big deal. I mean, it will take time. Okay, optical is not yet there. It will take time. But always good to announce, right? But think about it. They are going that far. What we are doing, we are trying to build our first chip. Right? They are competing with the $1 trillion NVIDIA. Right? And I mean, eventually, I mean, of course, this may be a public stunt, right? But eventually they will reach there. First, you need to have the stunt to reach there, right? So my point is, we are still doing service business, and there's nothing harm, but learn what you have done. Learn from what you have done. Think about building products. Product is where the money is, right? We missed the IoT bus. Right? IoT bus is already lost. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business India lost. It could have been easily captured. Right? So, of course, when we lost, so what happened to China? Think about it. China started with the small chips and they created the low-hanging chips. I mean, not the premium chips in the world. Premium chips, let the US folks build them. Right? NVIDIA's, Qualcomm's, Intel's of the world built the premium chips. What China did? They did the low-cost chips, low complexity. Any of the Indians sitting in some of these companies just come out and start it in India, it would have happened as long as there was funding and other thing. I mean, I'm not going to that area, right? But so we could have easily started a low complexity. Even our government firms had that skills. ISRO had that skill, right? CDAC had that skill. There are several of the government organizations had that skill.
Because Kerala, I think we had Keltron here. We had Keltron, ISRO, VSC, all those things are here, and we were in a very early.
Okay. I don't know whether this data probably Harikumar sir contacted me in the module, but so I'm not. One of the earliest chipset we designed in Trivandrum. No, a Keltron subsidiary, and then they became CDAC now, right? Right. That is called Arjun Krishna, but it never saw the light.
Arjun Krishna, okay.
Arjun Krishna, right? So it was in 1970s, 70s and 80s, right? That is when this was designed. So one of my manager, my first manager worked in that project, so that way I know that, right? I mean, India had those skills. Right? I'm talking about 80s. The Chinese started the basic chip making in 90s and 2000s. Not even 2000, even later. Right? But what they did is they understood their limitation. They never tried to compete with NVIDIA's or the Qualcomm's or Intel's of the world. They went and built very nice chips, very small, low cost, but they created an ecosystem. Right? What they have done is, that is the power of ecosystem. The Mulan is an ecosystem. Right? How powerful you folks are, right? Look at it. When Deepu was bragging about the Mulan, right? I was so surprised. But That is coming from the ecosystem. Why you are able to do it? Because an ecosystem was provided to you. Otherwise, I don't think individually any of you would be able to achieve. Right? So that is the power of ecosystem. What Chinese government has done is they have created an ecosystem. Low-hanging designs. Maybe it is a small pressure sensor chip. They create that chips. A product designer on the other side, a small uh, a device player, a product maker, he will wait for this chip and he'll put it inside it. Together, they have the manufacturing flow and they create a pressure sensor which is cheapest in the world. Right? And similarly, a education kit. Of course, they don't use the Intel's i3s and i7s of the world. They get the cheapest chip produced there, create a kit which will have a LED light blinking. Good, you're buying it. Right? You don't need the Jetsons of the world or the i7s of the world to blink an LED. Right? But you are not able to produce that product. Why? Can you think about it? Because China will not give you that chip. Right? At the price you want. By the time you procure it, you create that product, it is at least 3 times expensive than the Chinese product because they are working with an ecosystem, supply chain. Right? No one can beat a supply chain. Even US tried. There are several other players tried. They could not beat Chinese supply chain even today. Let me give you a simple example. A surveillance camera. A surveillance camera, we have in this room, there will be at least 10, maybe 5 surveillance cameras, right? In this building, how many? Maybe 1,000. In Technopark, 10,000, maybe 20,000 surveillance cameras. We like it or not, it is there. Right? How many of Indian companies making a surveillance camera? If at all they are making, what is their job? The ship will come in Vizhinjam. Take that, and that will be having 2 containers, one boxes, the other one couple of boards. Put the board in one of the boxes. Put a good label. I'm not talking about that label. Maybe we just talked about that just now. Just send it out. See, I'm not talking any names now.
Yeah. But they could not, no, they could not sustain the thing because the competition from Taiwan.
No, the
and
competition comes because you don't have the ecosystem.
They had a very good video grabbers and
No,
all
thing is,
in
it is all, I mean, I can understand the pain of each and every product company in India. Each and every. The pain is they are not part of a supply chain. Right? And Chinese, or I mean, I'm not even naming a country, the supply chains ensure that outsiders don't get the premium products. What you are left with is the least valuable product. You can create something out of it, but you will not be competitive in the market. You will not even have an early access to that chip. Right? So the way the supply chain work, it will look very fair. If you want a chip, of course we'll sell the chip to you. Okay, but when my supply chain partners skews every juice of it, then you get that chip. Right? They moved on to the next one. Right? And they will still sell you the chip for the same old 5-year back price. Right? And even the software support will not be there for you. That chip may need a Linux kernel, and that Linux kernel may be 20 years back, and that does not exist. Right? So a supply chain, if they want to kill you, they can kill you. right? They will hold the chips back, they will hold the information back, and finally what you are ending up is a product. I mean, I would call that product as a demo product, right? Or you can also use some kind of government channels to, because it is made in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. You can do something about it and sell it to the government. They give some subsidies and all. I mean, good. We can make. I mean, always we can. If you want to make a money, you can make a money. But you miss the premium money, right? So this is the reality, right? So the point I am coming back, IoT is a lost game for India because IoTs of the old world needed simple chips and good AI processing in the server, right, or the cloud. We knew that processing, right? We knew how to do cloud processing. We knew, I mean, any engineer in this room would be able to do that cloud processing. I know, right? But you didn't have the device advantage. Okay, so even if you know the cloud processing, you will be contributing to some player in China or some player in Germany who will be making a product, and you will be just giving a software component to them. That's it. Maximum you can do is either you can do a service to them or you can supply a software component to them. You will never own that product, right, with a competitive advantage. A product without competitive advantage is a demo. And demo is nothing but a charity. Nothing but a charity. Because you are enabling someone else's feasibility study. Right? And so that he doesn't need to do an R&D, he just need to make a product. Right? So my point here is India lost the IoT opportunity because that needed simple chips. Right? Now those chips are commodity. Right? You can take those chips, but the product margin is very thin in that market now. So what India, I mean, to me, Edge AI is a new bus for India, right? Why it is a new bus for India? Because it needs new products, right? Even the window of opportunity is very small. It needs new product which has all these premium features. India can capture it because the chips are new, right? There is no supply chain advantage today, right? And many of these designs are not from this kind of countries, right? You can create those designs, and the chip designs are new. Supply chain does not exist because it is new design, right? The overall AI is also new. It is not even 5-year-old, right? So next 20 years is a great selling opportunity for Indian product makers if they rise to the opportunity today, right? And Indian government has realized that. Indian government is putting a lot of effort into that. What I am seeing is they are enabling this. They realize this, the make in India is a joke unless you have the devices, right? You cannot simply put a label and wait for Chinese ships, right? That will not make an Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Right? That is just of course it will help. You can put some kind of assembly and make the price low, whatever, I don't know. But the real value for Indian products comes if we build this ecosystem here and use this AI opportunity, right? When I say AI opportunity, it's not just the generative AI. Generative AI, of course, India will tap it, but the product market. Product is where the margin is, right? So I hope that will change, and government is really putting effort. I can easily see that. Indian government is on the semiconductor. So when it comes to the so these are the points I just talked about. So what the government has done is they realize that why the Make in India did not make us a product country? The reason is because of this ecosystem, this supply chain, right? What they have they found the root. It all starts from the chip, semiconductors, right? So Indian government is putting a lot of effort on the semiconductors, right? Because AI needs specialized compute capabilities. You cannot simply take a chip from the market and expect that to do the AI processing, because it needs giga operations of capabilities, right? Giga operations and tera operations, which if you use a CPU, it will take hours to do that processing, right? So that is why it needs brand new chips. Not only that, even otherwise, even for the regular market, you need chips. Without that, India cannot control the supply chain for its own product. That is why the government is now supporting a lot of chip startup and semiconductor startup to get into this domain. It is not one chip. They need at least thousands of designs coming out of India so that we can actually win this race, right? So they want to emphasize on the chips and the semiconductor sector along with the product market, right? That is what this Atmanirbharta is all about, right? So at least even though it is late, government is realizing that, right? It's a great opportunity for us. Whoever wants to get into the space, it's a great opportunity, especially for Edge AI. I mean, this is applicable for any domain. Especially for Edge AI, the greatest advantage is there are no solid pre-existing solutions, right? That is where the window, that opportunity is, right? So that way, I mean, this is a very wide open market. It's a great opportunity. So coming back to the, so this is what, I mean, so these are the, so I just talked about ecosystem, supply chain, and all those things, right? So let us simplify that terms, right? So when I said supply chain means solution makers like software people who make the real products, right? I mean, we should have confident startups, confident engineers who get into the space, create the, I mean, to create a solution is actually very easy, believe me, right? There are enough GitHubs there. There are enough BKMs, best known methods there. So creating a product, creating a solution is actually very easy for a demo stage, right? If you want to tell me any problem, I can show you a GitHub which will solve that problem, right? Give me any problem, right? So solving a problem is not a big deal. So solution is not a big deal, but a reliable solution which meets the business need is a great difference, right? A demo solution is always easy in this world, but there should be a committed engineering group or engineering team who should say that, hey, I will take this as a business problem. I will go to any extent of creating this solution, right? That is the decision a product solution maker should take. And more than that, when he take that decision, it is also important for him to ensure that he has a USP for that, right? If you go and try to, like, of course the government will help you. So the numbers I heard are extremely impressive. The government support, what government is telling, right? I can state you. If you have so much of, if you use so much of Indian components inside, then you get say 20% tender advantage. If you have all the components from India, I think you get 40% advantage. I mean, I don't know that. Now I'm just quoting some numbers, right? But it is in the scale. So think about your product. If you sell to Indian like system, it actually gets a big like advantage over a competitive product because the Indian government has made it that way, right? If you so Indian government has made it such a way that if there is an Indian product, it gets a big advantage in a tender process of selling the products, right? So this is a great advantage. But problem is, no Indian engineering team is working on this kind of solutions. thinking that I want to make a product. So the ecosystem I am talking about needs solution makers who has a product focus, right? And then you need product makers. So a solution maker is a software engineer or who takes care of the entire application, but it will need products, right? For example, a smart camera based application is a solution, whereas smart camera is a product, right? So you need product makers in the group. So, and then you need the chip makers, because if you buy NVIDIA and integrate, of course, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, no, I mean, it's an excellent chip, believe me, right? But of course, everything has a cost associated. I mean, even if we make it in India, it's the same thing. But the good thing about having a chip engagement early for a product maker is you have the USP. The same product will not be will not be like, it will not be very easy for another player to enter that market, because you are working with a upcoming chip very early and building features into it, influencing the chip to have those kind of features, and you are actually coming to the market, right? So that way you have early access to the designs. Why our designs are not having any USP in the market? USP means unique selling point, right? Why we don't have a unique selling point? Because we don't engage with the partners early. We don't engage with the product makers at the stage of development. We don't influence the chip designs at the stage of development. But only we are not. The solution makers and product makers in China and elsewhere is influencing their chip makers, their product makers. And that is their advantage, their competitive advantage, right? So that is what I am referring to. The ecosystem should have these three ingredients, and the role of government is to encourage that ecosystem, right? We have several, I mean, from a Kerala point of view, we have ISROs, we have CDACs, we have Keltrons, we have startups, one of the biggest, I mean, vibrant startup ecosystem. Why Kerala is not producing a single chip which is relevant in the market, or a single product which is relevant in the market, right? Is it unachievable, right? How many crores you need? Okay, I would say poultry. It is not very expensive to do this kind of things. You just need a vision, and you need to form the teams. You need to find out what are the low hanging fruits. Okay, don't go after the like drones of the world, right? Go after small energy meters of the world, right? And even KSEB is needs at least millions of power meters. How many of Keralites are doing it? And how much money we are losing, right? Isn't the, if there is a consortium there to create a power meter, right, it can be done. Right? But we continue to do service, it's very good. Yeah. No, no, government is extremely powerful, because I heard certain statements like captive market. Governments are extremely powerful. Governments are the most powerful animal in the world. If they want, if they take a decision, it is extremely powerful. Any government. So if government choose to, a product system can be formed. And like a Kerala government with such a massive intellectual capabilities here, right? Think about it. Kerala is the most enriched state in India with the intellectual power, right? One of the first semiconductor book I read is written by a Malayali. His name is Prankur. I bought it for $120 in 1997. $120, not rupees. Right? So, yeah.
What do you actually want the Kerala government to do? What do you see here and what is the gap that you see?
The thing is, what I want from Kerala government. Okay, let me ask you. Right? So government also putting a lot of effort. Even Indian government is putting a lot of effort. Semiconductor, let's say semiconductor, right? Or let us even say products. Or so we have huge ecosystem here. ITI Palakkad has extremely good assembly line. SFO SFO in Cochin, one of the best assembly line. And in fact, for Maker Village startup, they made that assembly line available for free, right? One of the best R&D lab is in CDAC. Okay, one of the best R&D firm, the best quality firm, lot of R&Ds in house is ISRO, VSSC. No, specifically VSSC, because VSSC is the one of the best technology. I mean, in electronic technology wise, the onboard computer systems of the world of the satellites are designed in VSSC, right? Not in like other. So we have the best universities. Okay, but we are not taking leadership in forming, like connecting these dots and attacking at least 5 unique low-hanging use cases. Okay, if you collectively attack at least 5, okay, at least 5, just as a test case, I can bet you it can be done in less than 30 crores. At least 5. Okay, and this will trigger. I mean, this is just the initial investment. Rest will industry will take care. Government doesn't need to go and do every uh, every work for the country like place, right? Rest of the thing is a industry's responsibility. But are you doing this first initial ecosystem building? When we talk about semiconductor, our blood becomes hot. Which foundry to buy? Foundry is chemical and optical engineering. It has nothing to do with electronics. Why are you wasting your time? You don't have foundry experts in India. You don't have the money required to run that foundry. You don't have the gigatons of water, purified water in this country. You don't have the purification mechanisms even known to you, right? And you don't have even the money, the business model to run a foundry. A foundry cannot be stopped. A semiconductor foundry cannot be stopped.
Isn't it strategically very important to have a foundry?
To me, it is a central government's problem. Okay, it is not a Kerala government or, for that matter, any state government's problem. Why it is a central government's problem? What if China invade Taiwan? Is that your problem? Right? Right? China invading Taiwan, let's like central government take care of it. They have a huge amount of money. We are such a cash crunched state, right? We have enough low hanging fruits. Go and just pluck it, right? Right? And through that process, you have 5 use cases, Kerala model, right? You can advertise, right? Are you doing it?
So Kerala started with the Kerala hardware mission and we tried with the Coconics project.
No, Coconics, again, Coconics is a big deal. And what is Coconics? I mean, I'm not getting into those spaces, right? Coconics is great. Coconics serves certain purpose, right? If you have a business model, do it. But I am not saying that it is an answer to this problem, right? Coconics is serving, okay, India made a computer. If that has a business justification, do it. But I'm not talking about Coconics, right? Coconics is definitely, of course, India made laptop, it is making sense. Even COVID time, it was a big deal. So if it is competitive, if there is a business justification, do it, right? So I'm not against any industry for that matter, right? But that is not serving these low-hanging fruits.
where we need to focus ourselves. So there were people who are telling it, no, it is the IT policy. We have the IT department. IT is software.
We need, I mean, IT is a
And we
heavily,
have IT department as well as industries department. So it is the problem for the industries department, not the IT department.
exactly. I think the problem is IT is a heavily misused word.
Yeah.
Heavily misused. What are you doing? I'm an IT engineer. Right? It is, if I tell that I'm a chip engineer, it's a problem. If this guy doesn't have any good job. Right? So IT is a heavily misused word, and putting everything under IT is actually not a sincere job, right? In fact, advice it. I mean, this is not a not a Kerala problem alone. Even MeitY is IT, right? MeitY of the electronic industry of India is actually called MeitY, and the I and T are IT. Right? So it doesn't need to be a joint one. To me, what Kerala needs is a product mission, not IT mission.
Very good point. Yeah.
And we have to understand what we are, right? What we are good at. Right? I don't think we are good at taking a resistor, putting it in the board, right? That is not what we are, right? I mean, there are several other states and countries who are good at it. Take the premium job out of it, design it, create the use cases, create the software ecosystem out of it, build chips, to ensure that those software products are extremely valuable in the market, reduce the increase the entry barrier for another player, right? These are the research that should happen under this product mission of Kerala, right? And how many of IT mission folks are even eligible for doing this study?
That is the biggest problem. Yeah. Because
No harm. I mean, many times the governments go by the jargons, right? If they see semiconductor is a great opportunity, oh, let me go and get a foundry, right? Or if this is good, generative AI is, let's everyone give a computer so that everyone is doing generative AI. Right? You need to, as a state, we need to find out what we are good at. We are good designers. I am getting premium engineers in Kerala to do semiconductor. Okay, believe me, right? And everyone is asking me, hey, why you are not in Bangalore? Why you are not in Hyderabad? Why you are not even in Silicon Valley? Because I came from there, right? Sir, I am getting very good engineers here. Why should I go elsewhere, right? And if if a chip designer, I mean, of course, chip is not just chip, right? It has embedded software, firmware, even AI there. We are designing AI for our application. So I am getting premium engineers in this small town. Then think about the entire Kerala, right? So what is it stopping us? Okay, if I am not making a chip today, I'll be making an AI product here. Right? There are enough talent here. Talent is not at all a problem. Funding, I don't think funding is a problem nowadays, right? And I'm not talking about like billions, right? I'm just talking about, say, a couple of tens of crores, right? Any state government, even if I go to, I'm not naming, but even if I go to several other states, this money is available. Only thing is I don't want to go there. Right? Somehow I like the water here, right? So the thing is, we are not driving the things in the right way. Probably the old, I mean, the reason is many of the missions here are found based on the past uh, service industry hype. So the IT somehow went into our brain saying, oh, this is a very good way of making money, giving jobs to people. Let those people all have jobs. So we became job-oriented country, right? For us, giving job is the foremost responsibility of a government. Just focus on that. Create a mission called IT mission, right? I hope they will serve something. But the job of service, the service job is not coming to Kerala, not because of the IT mission. It is because of these folks. right? You don't, the IT mission doesn't need to do anything. If I see talent there, where else I would go, right? So you don't need to do anything. Probably that mission need to be like uh, disappearing. That's what I'm saying, right? If you have to do, if you have to do some contribution, then you exist, right? So what is needed here is a good product policy, good industrial policy, which is making use of all this talent and the entrepreneurs here. I see no dearth of entrepreneurs in this country, right? You create a competition in any place in Kerala, you get at least 1,000 applicants, right? And even in a college, you can get a hackathon attendee, right? Forget about Kerala. So there is no dearth of innovative and enterprise people, entrepreneurship people here. Only problem is all those people are getting hired in one of those premium companies, and they are doing either doing a service job inside the company, or they are doing it for elsewhere. Right? But I consider all these things as services. Right? It is basically you are doing service to another nation, whether that whether the company is here or elsewhere, you are doing service to another nation. It's not for your country, right? And governments are happy because people are getting jobs, right? So probably there is no fault because we came. I mean, when I remember when I started in '95, job was the biggest deal, right? Maybe Harisar knows much better than me, right? When my PSC exam was the kind of only motivation for you to study. Right? So so that time it was extremely important. India was a poor country. We were not talking about GDP. You want to be in the first 4, 5. I mean, nothing of that sort. We are happy with our 87s, and we were living peacefully, right? But now we have a problem. We are an We are a nation with aspiration, right? So we cannot do the same job as we used to do, right? If Modi cannot deliver the third place next election, he is gone, right? So it is that kind of country this is, and are we doing justice to the manpower here? That's the question. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I took a lot of your time. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Chip sector do to create a ecosystem outside of the government? Forget the government. Let them do whatever they want. The chip industry, like you said, has a lot of Indians and a lot of people from Kerala. How can you use that
Yeah,
brain?
I think you have a valid point. You know how many use cases my chip can solve? My chip alone, forget about other chips which are going to come. My chip alone can cover at least 100 plus AAML use cases. 100 plus AAML use cases are 100 plus AAML solutions, right? And that means how many products, right? It can. So the semiconductor is the top of the pyramid, right? From there, each semiconductor company or semiconductor design will enable at least 20 products. Each of those 20 products will enable at least 50 use cases. Now you understand the importance of semiconductor. I can enable, if they worked with me earlier, I can enable at least 100 use cases. I can even throw one now, which there is a investor available.
What did you try in that? That is, did you try to get the government support and all those things?
I got. In fact, I am the probably in India, I am the probably one of the highest funded startup of any sector. Any sector, right? We are actually getting around 45 crores worth of government support. And that includes 20 crores in cash and 20 crores in kind. What else a government can do? Huh?
The other industry industries,
other
no.
industries, I mean, that is where I have a problem, right? I find partners outside the country.
Not in India. Why?
Again, my apologies. I just came to know about Mulan today. So, no, last time I think I just met Hari Umar sir, 3 weeks back in a cafe coffee day, where one common friend of us, his name is Robin, he just called me for a meeting, right? I mean, that is the first time I am going to a cafe coffee day. So I just met Hari sir, and then I also saw like at least 20 different people there, all like kind of they are blowing up with innovations and ideas. so, so look at me, right? I am a Trivandrum born. My first 22 years or 23 years were in Trivandrum. I studied here. My engineering college was CET. I worked for 2 years in CDAC. Then I started my journey, right?
How many CETs are here?
So, so my 22 years are here. Still, I haven't met such a group. Right? Even I am here. I mean, I am around. Right? I don't even come here. So that is the situation. And after seeing that meeting, after I saw that, I attended that meeting. One more thing, it just triggered my brain, right? You came all the way, drove to Vellambalam to drink a coffee day tea and meet all these folks, and they are having meeting every week, every month or so, discussing all this like get together of all these entrepreneurs. I realized that I am sitting in a building where at least 10 startups are there, and all the startups are relevant to me. we, but we are not talking to each other, right? That day I took a decision. At least I should take an initiative to meet those folks, talk about ideas. Probably not every idea will turn out to a product, but someday it will be useful, right? So that way, I think I took that as a lesson from that meeting. So coming back to his question, this is what's stopping us, right? How many? I mean, of course, I may not be the authority in semiconductors, but you can always pick my brain on a lot of things. Right? Many people can pick my brain on a lot of. I am not just a semiconductor savvy, right? I know a lot of technologies. Because of course you will get into something when you have a long career. Right? Even a lot of other things. So you can always contribute, but you don't find platforms. That is one thing. Probably Mulan is an exceptional platform. I highly appreciate that. I'm planning to send my
Regarding ecosystem for LLM in India, lot of countries has a lot of a flurry of LLMs. The problem with LLM is the obsolescence rate of LLMs are surging, galloping. So how can we meet that gap? How can we bridge that gap? The
no,
galloping LLMs.
I'm not an expert in LLM. LLM is, I mean, basically, even though I am an AI, my focus right now or my studies now are mostly on the video analytics, multi-sensor fusion. Those are the areas which I am working on because my products are targeted for those segments. LLM is not a segment we are focused on. Future we may get into that space, but not now. So I may not be the right person to answer that. So sorry about that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah.
Any personal email?
Hey, after this and after this session, you can
I am
talk to
around.
and
Only
he
thing is, no one is caring about me. That's all.
so he was not exposed to the mural community yet, and right now when you said like you want the people to pick your brain, and now it's just going to the beginning. Because our problem is like getting connected to some people who are there with that level of knowledge to share it to them. So they are going and finding people elsewhere, trying to get connected and
get those in.
Because even though I motivated you about product making, don't underestimate it. It's not demo.
Yeah, because
huge amount of commitment, and even I think you mentioned the name of that company, right? The camera company here, Mediatron. I mean, I am pretty sure they are doing enough amount of R&D and pain to make that product, right? So product making, even if it is labeling and putting a IP67 quality, that itself is a great product making, right? So never underestimate any product making, right? But only thing is that culture need to be there. Right?
Yeah, one thing what I have seen, for example, we have Kerala Start.
And for that, you definitely have to talk to people like me, or probably my co-founder, or people like that. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the authority, but like there are several people in this stage with a huge amount of knowledge, but we are not picking their brains. What is it?
Yeah, we can identify those use cases, and for sure, Mulan has impact projects, right?
Even
yeah,
I am even okay. I mean, ideally, I would say if a product mission is formed, ideally I would expect they will have mentors they find from the country, even in Kerala, even in Trivandrum. You don't need to go anywhere else. Any product making savvy people are there just 6 kilometers around.
Yeah. So top 100 makers, right, that we are planning to do, it should be like product mission. Like that is, we have to take it towards the product, because the problem that our system, our country faces biggest is we are in the service industry. Even each and everything, whenever we look about investment on R&D and building about the product and all those things, they see like this is the easy money that is coming, and then do not need to wait for that much time to get that money back. So even
let me give you a frank opinion, very frank opinion. It corrupted even our startup support system.
Yeah.
It corrupted our startup support system. It corrupted our investment system, right? And education.
And education, of course, education is a completely.
I mean, we corrupted that first.
Yeah, we corrupted that first because.
So all these three institutions are corrupted. The startup support ecosystem, funding ecosystem, and the education. So they are after easy choices. What is an easy choice? If you get a revenue in 6 months, isn't that an easy choice? Right?
Yeah.
It's very easy, right? This company is claiming that I will be revenue, I will have break even in next 6 months. Isn't that very easy? Right? But think about it. If it is very easy, entry barrier is very small.
Yeah.
Right? So if it is very easy, entry barrier is very easy, and many cases you will be able to buy a house, but you will never become a billionaire. And we don't have any billionaires in this country. A product, a technology product billionaires are not here in this country. Okay? The reason is we focus on the easy things.
So because, if you look at the Infosys, like the initial investment or donation that went into OpenAI was from Infosys. But how many of you know that? OpenAI should have been something that the Indians could have been very much proud of, because Vishal Shikha, when he was the CEO in 2015, he was the one who, when Sam Altman raised 1 billion for building it, that is, he was the one who actually majorly contributed towards that.
So one more example. Even the ecosystem startup support system. The same project which we won 40 crores central government funding, MeitY funding. The same project was sent to like Idea forum here. Idea funding. I was not even called for a meeting.
So people will not understand. So
I'm not blaming, because it is again, it is like a futuristic idea, right? We always need something which will have a revenue potential immediately, right? So it is nothing to blame, but that is the culture we are in, right? Both the investment culture, the support system, and the educational system is made for the same IT policy we have all days, right?
Yeah.
How to make money in 6 months? Product will take at least 3 years to make a money.
And how many jobs can be created?
How many
Yes.
jobs can
Yeah. So when I was talking about the Infosys, what happened?
And also, when you
Yeah.
fund a product startup, you need to spend a bit more money, right? It is not like as if in like a service company where a computer and a room is good enough, right? But
Yeah.
a product making means you need the oscilloscope. I mean, a bit of pain there. Right? That's probably the reason why this is not being. But those days are over. We are not such a bad country anymore. We have enough money in the bank.
So to finish up that OpenAI story, if you see like Microsoft owns it, right, majority, because after 2 years of investment in OpenAI, Vishal Shikha was kicked out of Infosys just because of making such decisions in investing in something that doesn't give immediate returns. And today, then after that, when the non-profit entity of OpenAI went into a profit entity, there was continue the conversation, and Infosys was not even. That is the biggest regret for Infosys.
In fact, investment players are changing. That I can see, right? Investment ecosystem is changing. Investment, investments are going after deep technology, right? That I can easily see that. They are very aggressively after technologies and product startups today, right? Just like the US ecosystem. That old frenzy for service is slowly going away. Now they are very aggressively evaluating technology startup, and they are willing to wait. Previously, the investors were willing to wait only for 6 to 1 year, but now they are willing to wait for even 5, 6 years.
And
That
and
is
uh,
that's a big change.
and then one another thing what I see here, like the product mission. When you mentioned that, strike me because uh, we have Kerala Startup Mission. It conducts huddle every year. That is a startup festival, and no one from the IT industry participate in that.
Really?
From Kerala, there are around 280 plus companies as part of the consortium which you are part of. So this time I just told like this time we should be part of that. Uh, then it is for the startups. So, so and then we are big companies which are doing much bigger business. Okay, so that is the angle at which when it look into it, it is a startup is something like a very small business, and then so when we talk about product, what we were suggesting is like all these companies, you have a lot of products that you have built and service the customers. Can't you make it a SaaS product?
Exactly.
Can't you spin off a product company and then product and then take it to market, and that type of support can be there? Can you bring in your client to India and
No,
then
even a product-based service will increase your revenue several folds. Right? When you say IP-based services, product-based services have huge value compared to a simple service product. Right?
so that sensitization is required for the leaders of the IT companies here. That is the first thing, because what is happening here is like all these kids who are actually really good and have very high aspiration, they just get towards those type of places where mediocre work is enough just to get the clients.
In fact, Kerala Startup Mission will be able to do it. In fact, they have access to Maker Village. It's an extremely great place. I mean, I don't know how many of us are making use of Maker Village and Fab Lab kind of setup. So if we use this kind of accesses and create an ecosystem, IC Force also is an extremely good place. Right? Open source, extremely good activities are happening there, but it needs a coordination, because now Truspar, where I am, which is an EV and semiconductors, is what they are focusing on. So these bits and pieces are there. Right? So I think probably this product mission, they can connect these doors. Startup, KSUM, Maker Village, then Fab Lab, then IC Force, Truspar, create a kind of, and with a consortium plan. Right?
So when Dr. Jaishankar Prasad was there, like actually we had brought in the Singularity University, and we were trying to connect all these things together. Then like government changes, then the continuity
that
would.
is why the product mission is important.
Yeah, product mission is very important. I see it very much valuable insight, and we'll
Because
take it
then they can advise these bodies, right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for having me here. And yeah, I'm sorry for the very long. I mean,
No, we will go up to. It is still not 7. It is just 10 more minutes left to close it itself, and then this conversation goes up to 2 a.m. People
really
stay back. Yeah.
I should escape now.
Yeah, you have to escape now. Yeah, that is what you actually gets into your own space. And so, any other questions? Yeah.
Actually, well, are you going right now? I would like to have a conversation with you. Oh, right. Okay.
I'm just joking.
So I'll shoot a few generic questions that everyone would like to hear, maybe. So I wrote down some questions actually.
Because
while the conversation was happening. So give me a minute. So one thing I had, like it was curious question that I had. You were working with IoT, AIoT specifically, and have you seen any emergent properties emerge? Like you got multiple IoT systems with small scale intelligence applied there. Have you seen these distributed systems coming up and giving you some very weird but beautiful insights?
Uh, see, I'm first of all let me give another perspective. Right? I don't go that far into the solution. I mean, once you get into the solution problem and the actual analytics, you will get that kind of insights, right?
Okay.
For me, since I focus more on the architecture side, so of course I always look for this kind of use cases where multiple systems work together jointly as a connected system. So those kind of use cases we always study. But unfortunately for me, wherever I go to this far, I try to gather some kind of hardware inference out of it and go back to my cocoon. So that's why these inferences are available with the actual solution makers who implement IoT, right? Who try to connect these kind of connected systems. And for me, connected systems gives me data and the sensor information, and make sure that how you gather this information within your tops and performance and the power budget, how to incorporate in a solution, in a platform. That is what I always look, my narrow view of the problem.
You are interested more in the processing
but
part.
Another view of the system is what you said, how to gather information of these systems and create a business intelligence out of it, right? That is, I would say, that is a solution maker's problem, right? But that is definitely a good solution maker's problem. Probably it's a good business also, right?
Something else I have, this might be relevant to you from an architecture perspective.
Yeah.
So I've been following ASICs for LLM deployment. Specifically, have you heard of Etched? Etched, the company Etched. They say they are building something that gives you about 1000x inference performance compared to H100s.
Yeah, so let me give you, I think that's a very good question, right? So, I mean, let me explain what he asked, right? He's saying that there is one company in somewhere who is creating a ASIC. ASIC means a chip, right? ASIC is a focus, application specific IC is ASIC, right? So he's telling that some company somewhere is actually creating a ASIC for an LLM inference, right? So basically they are developing a AI accelerator. It's a chip which will increase the performance of AI in that design. Not any AI, LLM, right? Large language model. So that is what he's asking, right? So I am not surprised. This 1000x number, he's saying that it gives 1000x performance compared to what? Most probably they are referring
H100.
to a CPU. A
No,
regular
they are
CPU.
NVIDIA's H100. They are saying it's way better than NVIDIA's H100 GPU.
They are comparing with one of the NVIDIA platform. But the problem with NVIDIA, it's not a problem. it is a good thing about NVIDIA is they are a general purpose computer.
Yeah.
Right? They don't optimize for LL. So as an architect, I can say that if you optimize a design for a particular thing, you can beat any benchmark in the world. Right? That is the advantage. That is what I was just talking to you. How to create a USP for your product. If you want to sell a LLM based product in the market, and think about, you can claim that my solution is only $5 compared to my competitor who is using this in particular NVIDIA chip, and their solution is $50. I am 10x superior. And my chip, my product, consumes only 300 milliwatt, whereas my competitor is 100 watt. How these numbers will look like you? Right? Which product you will buy? This is the USP, or this is the competitive advantage I am talking about. If you own the semiconductor and you work with that semiconductor early, these are the advantages you get. For me, if I forget about the general purpose nature of my chip and just to solve one business problem, then I can make it extremely efficient for the market. Right? That's what exactly this particular company has done. They only said LLM. They did not say that they can run CNN algorithms. They can run open pause. They can run, NVIDIA can run all of them.
They are just focused on transformer architecture.
So that is the difference.
Then what I actually want to hear was your insight about, isn't it too risky then to not build like economies of scale? You were very much into economies of scale.
Yeah.
So this is limiting you into just one thing. You're betting on transformers, and if a better architecture comes, the entire bet fails off, right?
Who said you will be selling in the market for 100 years? Right? Most probably all you need is a market for 2 years, and you are a big name there. Right? After that, people will buy whatever you sell.
Okay.
In fact, we have been buying a lot of chips and systems in the world, thinking that they are the superior, right? Because they were superior one time.
Yeah.
So for the student perspective, like what they should do to take this path? That is a learning path. Can you suggest them a learning path to?
Okay, see, learning paths are multiple, right? Product-oriented learning is also important, right? So probably I think many of the students here, I mean, generally what I have seen the percentage, 80% of them focus on applications and those kind of use cases. Only less than 20-30% focus on the product making, right? Product aspects of it, like embedded systems. How many of you really do it? If many of them were doing a lot of embedded systems, at least I would be able to hire a good embedded engineer, right? So the embedded engineers are the rarest species in this state. And but there are, I mean, if I see any resume from a college student, I see all of them have run a particular model on Raspberry Pi and they have completed their project. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I can tell you a statement, probably that is there in almost all your resumes. not your resumes, but majority of the resumes I review stays almost the same project, right? And the Raspberry Pi, and some kind of this kind of platform, Arduino or something like that. But when I interview the engineers, they don't have the basics of what is a DMA, how the interrupts runs. So without knowing any of them, how you created that design, right? So we, as a group, we think that downloading a Git repository and running on a kind of say Raspberry Pi or something is the end of embedded system learning, right? Right? that is just the start. Right? After that, you should be able to see how to optimize it for that memory. So the Japanese product makers, they want to save each bytes of the memory so that their system is extremely optimal. Not only the system is cost effective, power efficient, there are tons of things which people will evaluate your chip, your product again. So what is the skills to learn those techniques? How to reduce your overall memory budget? Right? When you are talking about product, these are the questions. If you are talking about demo, no problem. Download, put it in a Raspberry Pi, demonstrate. Right? And even for scoring good marks in college, that's what the college professors anyway doesn't go to GitHub. Right? So, but they are just your start. Right? Of course, if you don't go to GitHub, that is a crime. Right? But product making is not just that. Product making is optimization. Right? Optimization and building a USP. Right? So that is where you, that's why my request to all the embedded engineers, find out how to optimize it, even the application you built in your college days. See if you can reduce memory usage by 10%. You are an engineer. No, it doesn't even need assembly language, right? It doesn't even need assembly language. It just needs the basic reading of documentation. What is the chip? At least to find out what that GitHub done, right? What they have. Go through the code once, and then you'll find out ways to optimize it, right? But just to git clone, download, run. That is too easy, right? Any other questions?
Last 1 minute to go. Last final question. Anything? Eh? So even after this, you will be here. We won't let you out. That door will be closed. I think it was an amazing session. I think so far, and
I would say maybe a controversial session.
no, actually, because we were in an echo chamber. Like we always, that is what FAYA does is break the echo chambers. And like we have done 117 sessions so far, and we always believe that we know a majority of those things, and then just small stuff gets added in each FAYA but this was completely different. Because we fully understood that we are in such a shell, and then we were working within that shell and not even thinking, that is the universe. And then it was a mind-blowing session, and then thank you so much for what you do actually. And as I mentioned always, like FAYA when we started to the, like, our aim is to build global products from India, from Kerala, because our kids, our people have the capability of doing that, and helping them connect to each other, identifying the right partners, and identifying the right vendors, and everything should be accessible to everyone for free. That was concept. It is almost 11 years and 3 months. This is a vision that we run for 12 years. Okay, another 9 more FAYA editions will be there, and on the next 12th year edition, what we actually want is to showcase the products that come out a year, which goes to the global space. And I'm extremely happy to see that there is one that will surely that we can be proud of.
In fact, I was amazed, and even I felt like very sad also, because I am not part of this league. Even after 12 years, right? So,
you are here, and anything that we do moving forward, that is, we will be working together, understand how to tweak it right, because the tuning, like the radio gives a sound when we tune into the right signal, right? So even you learn has to be tuned a little bit more, because comes here and says like Mulan, so excellent, that is, it is the future of India, war, etc. Pramod Verma and everyone came in. But there are certain things that is available here that is we haven't used to tune it right, and especially we have something in the software when we do not have it. Software we have solid vendors, solid support system here, but in the hardware or in the other part, were in search of somebody who
Yeah, in
is
fact,
there. Yeah.
Jaishankar, right?
Yeah.
Jaishankar Prasad called me last week. Because I created I call a good resource for semiconductor learning. I created for CET, College of Engineering Trivandrum, right? So he asked me if I can offer that to Mulan, right? So I said, okay, it's very good. If someone can make use of it, as long as CET and the trust is willing to do that. So I said, I think that's a good idea. So probably at least that will give a good start for semiconductor learning.
Okay.
I start from basic digital electronics and start. I thought that it is easy, but probably you can give a better feedback.
Okay.
But that is I mean, that was my sincere attempt to train a student from his college days to all the way to design a complete chip. So probably that material, if it is available to Mulan, is 120 hours of video.
Oh, okay. So that is in Mulan, like whenever they forward, we want to, only thing that we want to have is like some proof of works that we define that which can be publicly vetted. It can be a blog that they write, or it can be some video. So adding those publicly vettable proof of work elements in that, when they progress, that will give them the karma points and the progression. Yeah.
Consider that the government of India is spending around 76,000 76,000 crore for semiconductor ecosystem, right? And one of the funding scheme we got approved is a 5 crore grant in combination with CET, right? And the only objective of that is to make sure that students get trained for this. They want to create around 85,000 semiconductor savvy engineers out of the college. That is the idea of chip to startup program, right?
You.
And
So
and the reality is that is we got around 5 crores. The CET got 5 crores, and that is probably the highest ever grant received by an Indian by a Kerala engineering college, right? And think about it, is for the semiconductor to create a chip from the college, right? And as part of that, the CTO scheme, the central government has opened up the entire knowledge database. That's why I'm saying that whatever I have created probably will look inferior to that database which the government is opening up. So this is a great opportunity to learn this kind of skills, and government is opening up a lot of tools and other things for the like people who want to learn semiconductors, because they see this big opportunity, right? So if anybody want to go to semiconductors, as a mentor I can always help, right? And even product side also I can offer help. Even at least I can point people to, who can actually contribute to your thought process. So that I can always do.
yeah. So Mulan, what it provides is like these students have energy, but the senior people who have that wisdom, they have been used to curate the content for them. It is of the information overload. They don't know what to take and all those. And then they have to go themselves and learn.
Correct. Yeah.
That is what happens.
And there are, and believe me, there are enough GitHubs out there.
Yeah. Okay. So by that, let's officially wind up today's session 118th edition of FAYA. And thank you so much for accepting the invitation and coming here. And thank you, Hariuma sir. If you haven't met him in that Cafe Coffee Day, this session might not have happened. Because we were in a series of AVGC XR. That is, we have an AVGC XR policy here for animation, visual effects, graphics, gaming, comics, and extended reality. So I was continuing a series on that. Like we had a session and it was supposed to be here. Then I came to know about Edge AI. There is somebody who is building it here. There is no other choice for me. And I want you to be here.
Okay, thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you. Yeah, and I invite the Fire Body committee to hand over a small token of vision for the vision. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you. So let's close and also those who are here, like we never had our Instagrams or anything. We never asked for this thing. So those who want to follow for
JYO,
Fire OTT further updates and all those things, that is, you can actually
JYO,
get to the Instagram and then scan it.
PHIS
Yeah. Okay, that's the end.
at the
Thank
rate
you so much.